As we remember former President Jimmy Carter and reflect on his connections to the Gem State, we've learned about his firstborn child, Jack Carter, that he has some interesting connections as well. Audrielle Tackett brings us the story.
This is a story that started more than 50 years ago when an Idaho man, now in his 50s, received a special token from the Carter family when he was just a young boy. The story of how he got this gift and the impact it had on his life will stay with him and the rest of his family forever.
It's an interesting story that kind of connects me with the Carter family.
Former President Carter's oldest son, John William Jack Carter, was in the Navy and stationed in Idaho sometime in the late 1960s.
The Carters actually had a lot to do with Idaho.
Jack Carter lived at the Naval Reactors Facility in Idaho Falls. There, he met an officer with the Naval Intelligence Service.
My grandfather, Rufus Boldman, was the head of naval intelligence at the Pocatello, Idaho Falls office, and that is where he ended up with a warrant to detain Jack Carter.
This is Benjamin Reed, native Idaho journalist and grandson of Rufus Boldman.
Unfortunately, my grandfather ended up having to arrest Jack Carter due to marijuana consumption. And that was a pretty big deal back at that time.
During Jack Carter's arrest, Boldman noticed something else in his possession.
My grandfather saw a small black dog.
And knowing that he was being detained,
Jack Carter said, I don't know what to do with my dog.
Recognizing these unique circumstances, Boldman offered an act of kindness.
My grandfather said, okay, give it to me. I can give it to my grandson, and that's me here. And so I ended up with that dog. That was my first pet. His name was Pretzel.
Reed says his grandfather told him Pretzel was a favorite in the Carter family.
So my first pet had a direct connection with Jimmy Carter, and it was beautiful.
After Jack Carter left the Navy, his father, then Georgia governor, picked up the phone to thank Boldman for giving Pretzel a home.
Very, very kind. Never tried to use his position of leadership to bargain for special treatment for his son.
Reed says Jack Carter's arrest didn't detract from his grandfather's admiration of the first family.
My grandfather, even being a huge supporter of Ronald Reagan, who ended up winning over Jimmy Carter back in the 1980 election, spoke very, very highly of Mr. Carter as a decent human, a wonderful person.
A reminder that differing opinions don't have to lead to division.
It really had an impact showing me that you can appreciate those who perhaps differed from your own political opinion and yet have a respectful human understanding. And that was a beautiful thing that Jimmy Carter, I think, left with us as a gift for the entire nation.
Benjamin Reed says he passed this story and his grandfather's valuable insight down to his own son, hoping it will continue to be shared with generations to come.